Welcome to the Freelance Drive. Here we talk with skilled freelancers about their professional journey. Stay tuned for real-life experiences to learn and actionable steps to take to improve your freelancing career. My name is Yuri. I'm a community builder at Code Control and 9am.works, and my guest is Baily Hancock, a connection strategist, or as Baily says, a professional friend maker who helps people thoughtfully connect and achieve great success with the support of their community. So today, we'll discuss how to professionally build, nurture, and leverage relationships to attract great opportunities. So welcome, Baily.
Thank you, Yuri. So happy to be here.
We were talking on Community Life podcast and it's totally different, but I totally understand why are you this professional friend maker. But for those people who still do not understand the importance of and power of professional connections, for those people who didn't see any of previous 60-ish episodes, let's remind them, why do we need to build professional relationships?
Because otherwise, it is so damn lonely. I mean, that's top, right? Like being a freelancer or a solopreneur or an entrepreneur or founder or however you describe yourself, it can be one of the most isolating experiences, especially if your friends and family are not also freelancers. It can just feel emotionally and mentally isolating because your life and your work is so different than a traditional 9 to 5 corporate job. So, commiseration and support and just camaraderie are I'd say, like more macro benefits of connecting with other people and building relationships. On a more tangible day to day level, people are portals to opportunities, to ideas, to information, to other people. And I've really come to realize that the most in this most recent business of mine that I'm in. I'm about 9 months in now. People are the way that I have gotten anything cool in my business, in my life, across my career. People are often willing and able to offer you the 3 I's: info, inspo, and intros: information, introductions, and inspiration. So if you don't have people around you that you can connect and collaborate with and support each other, not only is it isolating and really lonely, you're just going to take so much longer to do anything you want to do.
Portals can be to different places and how to ensure that you are using the right portals.
Very important. And I think it comes back to understanding what it is that you're trying to do here, not just in the relationship, but in your business and your life. Like, what is your big picture purpose? What are you trying to achieve? So, when I think about mine, my big picture goal in life is to help people better connect with themselves and the people around them, because I think disconnection is what causes pretty much every problem known to man, at least people problems, right? Disconnection, feeling like you don't have that support in those deep relationships, can just make everything go sideways. So for me, my big picture goal is help people understand how to connect with others and therefore connect with themselves. So that can take a lot of different shapes, from like a more micro level, right? So right now in my business, I'm a connection strategist who teaches people how to build, nurture, and leverage relationships so that they can have a community to help them navigate challenges, thrive during transitions, and achieve greater success than they can on their own. So when I'm connecting with other people, I'm keeping both my macro and my micro goals in the front of my mind. And by doing that, it allows me to really effectively communicate to those people how they might be able to support me. It also helps them understand who they might want to connect me to. It helps them realize, like, oh, she should definitely know about this book or this podcast or this event or conference coming up, because I've made it very clear what my purpose is and how I'm achieving that purpose day to day. So I'm not going to be walking through any portals that don't make sense for those goals. There are fun side quests one can go on in their lives. Everybody loves a side quest, but you cannot be going on purely side quests because you will never complete the game, right? So when you consider connecting with new people, having your intentions and your goals in the front of your mind at all times is so crucial to
Yeah.
making sure that people can better understand how they can offer you support and who they can connect you to and what kind of ideas they can share with you. So clarification of your goals is top priority.
Tell me a little more about connect people with themselves.
Mm. I think that it is impossible to have a complete connection, a two-way connection, if you don't know what your values are, what your goals are, what is important to you about the people that you're connecting with. So, my business is called Overlap Collective, and my podcast and my soon to be book are called Seeking the Overlap. And it's all about finding the overlap on the two circles of your Venn diagram with you and somebody else. So if you and I think about this, Yuri, your circle and my circle, we've now done the Community Life podcast together. So we have found a lot of overlaps. But I couldn't find an overlap with you if I didn't know what was in my circle to begin with, right? If I don't know what's important to me and what interests I have and what my goals are and what my beliefs are, it's so much more than just your demographic data. Yes, I am a mom. You're a dad. We were just talking about parenting before we got started, and we share that overlap. Even though our kids are not the same ages, we have a very shared experience there. So, yes, that is an obvious one, right? Your demographic data. You're a founder, you're a podcaster, you're a parent, you're a da 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 da. But I think what's most important from a connection standpoint are your beliefs, your ideas, your vision for yourself, your goals, the things that matter to you that are not surface level, that you're probably not going to find in somebody's bio on LinkedIn, right? There are things that don't go on a resume. There are things that kind of stay close to your heart. And what people forget is if you're staying surface level with somebody, can you form a professional connection? Of course, that's easy. But can you feel truly seen by somebody without showing them parts of you? I do not think so. So it's integral that you have a sense of who you are on the inside and the things that matter to you so that you can show that to the people you're connecting with so they can say, me too. I also care about that. Or that's so interesting. I've never met anybody that thinks that way or that believes that. And so until you can have an idea of what's both surface level, sure, and also deeper inside of your individual circle, it becomes really hard to find an overlap with somebody else.
So you teach people how to build, nurture, and leverage relationships. So let's dive deeper. So what is your step-by-step approach on intentionally building relationships? I mean, like you told that it has to be an overlap, and definitely it's a lot of serendipity included, but still, like when you meet a new person, when you decide who to meet, like what is your step-by-step process?
That's a very important part, is deciding who you want to meet. So I tell my clients that when you're thinking about building new relationships, you need to go to where the people are, right? So yes, of course, you need to identify your goals. What is it that you're trying to do? So I'll use me as an example. I'm, like I said, less than 1 year into this new business. And for the first 6 months or so, I didn't really have a very clear offer yet. I knew what I could do. I knew what I had done. I knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't quite have the market fit yet, right? The product market fit. So in my conversations with people, I was sort of looking for feedback and ideas and recommendations and resources. So as I was growing my community, building new relationships, I was really seeking advice and wisdom and, just feedback on my initial thoughts and ideas. And I got that because I was open to it. And I told people that's what I was looking for. So now that I'm in sort of the next phase of my business where I know what I'm doing, I know that I'm seeking out workshop facilitation opportunities and keynote speaking gigs and the ability to work with people one-on-one on their own 3C strategy, which is community, connection, and collaboration. That is my goal. Now I can talk to people and say, yes, this is what I'm looking for. Do you know anybody? So aligning yourself with your goals is really important. And then going to where those kinds of people are. It's also really important to develop a criteria for the type of people you want to meet and connect with. So what happens when people network is they're generally just casting a very wide net and then seeing who they catch. They're pulling in anything, right? They're pulling in fish that maybe they don't want to eat. They're pulling in, boots that have been thrown in the ocean. They're pulling in whatever they get. We've all seen LinkedIn DMs. I'm confident you've gotten a few boots in your day, if you know what I mean. So when you think instead about curating your community, it switches it to a place of more intentionality and strategy. So My criteria for the kind of people that I want to grow my network with or curate my community with, I have 3 rules. They must be generous with their time, with their ideas, with their introductions. They need to be kind to themselves and to others, and they need to be curious about themselves and about the world. And those 3 things you can't really tell until you meet somebody and you have a conversation with them and you seek the overlap with them. So for me, I go into any opportunity where I might meet new people, which for the record is far more places than just networking events and online, right? Anywhere you go, there are people you could meet. And part of my title of professional friend maker, it started out as sort of a joke of like, oh, I make friends for a living. I used to tell my 4-year-old nephew that. He's 14 now, and I've been doing this for 10 years. Now, what I've come to realize is I make professional friends. So I don't see a distinction between professional relationships and personal relationships. Obviously, there are distinctions, but to me, I'm connecting with a human being, regardless of where we met, under what context. Right. So you and I met on LinkedIn, which is, the professional platform for social media, but you're my friend now, right? Like we've connected. I think of you as a friend who we have done professional things together, right? And so I just want to say that you don't need to go to a networking event to meet new people. You can meet new people in every circumstance in your life, from the after school pickup line to get your kids to the grocery store. So I think it's very important for people to remember that you can connect anywhere and all the time. So once you know what it is you're trying to do, you have your criteria for the kind of people you want to connect with, you start meeting people, and then you need to nurture that relationship beyond that. And that goes into the second phase of nurturing relationships.
Let's go to the second phase. So before we jumped into exactly how to nurture relationships, first, why do we need to do this? Isn't it just enough just to meet someone and like that's it?
No. And yes. Yes and no, right? Can you just meet somebody and let that be it? Absolutely. That's fine. I have a lot of people that I've met once and never seen again for the rest of my life, never talked to them ever again. And those relationships, that was fun, right? You probably learned something about yourself. Maybe they learned something about themselves. You have a good interaction. But if you're going to build a community of people that you can support and who can support you in return, you have to nurture those relationships. Otherwise, it's like planting a bunch of seeds and then walking away from the garden and never returning. Okay, was that fun to plant a seed? Fun, sure, great. But like, do you want to grow vegetables that you can eat and provide to other people for the lifetime of the garden? Probably. So, what's interesting though is a lot of people do exactly that. They plant a bunch of seeds and then never water and never pick the fruit. And so the second phase is very crucial. The nurturing of the relationship, that's where the connection can deepen. So one thing to keep in mind here is people will often get really disappointed if somebody they meet, doesn't make an effort or doesn't reach back out, or maybe they have a couple exchanges online and then it kind of fizzles from there. What I always say to my clients who complain about that is, everybody is very busy. So you need to remember that connection often does not just happen on its own. It is an active pursuit that you have to go after and you have to make a priority. So don't get in your feelings and in your ego about why this person isn't connecting enough with you if you haven't done it in return to them too. I think one of the best ways to make friends and to deepen friendships is to be a good friend. I recently had Anna Goldfarb, who's the author of Modern Friendship, a new book on friendship, on my podcast. And that was her best advice to me, was to have good friendships, be a good friend. Like that is the key, right? Don't make it all about you. It's not your main character energy here that people are having to like come be your side characters. This is an equal pursuit. So if you can, I think one of the best ways to make new friends, and be it professional or personal, or if you're like me, both, is to put yourself in scenarios where you know you're going to see that person regularly. This is why networking groups and online communities are so beneficial, because you know you're going to have lots of opportunities to interact with those people, because you can have a really great spark when you meet somebody for the first time, and then it will still fizzle if you're depending entirely on both of you making an effort to continuously show up and connect further, right? So if you want to make it easy on yourself, join some kind of community or some kind of networking group where there are recurring events that you're both going to be at so that you have an opportunity to bump into each other more and more and more, which helps to deepen the relationship. Frequency of interaction helps deepen relationships. And so if you can build that in, and if you don't have that with somebody, let's say you met at a conference and you're like, I really like that person. I'd love to get to know them better. I think we have a lot of synergies. We could collaborate. Have a plan. Say, I would love to hop on a virtual coffee with you if you don't live in the same city in a couple weeks. Does that sound good? Set the date. On that coffee date, set the next one. Figure out, get on their newsletter, follow them on social media, like show up in their life, virtual and if you can in person, as much as you can without being a creep. And the relationship will deepen much faster than that. So that is one of the ways that you can start to nurture relationships is just frequency of interaction. And then on the other side, and being a good friend before asking anybody to be a good friend to you. Liking somebody's posts and commenting on them don't cost you a single penny. That is one of the easiest ways that you can show up for your network. So my tip for you, I have a daily reminder on my calendar that's called Water LinkedIn, and it's got a little plant emoji. And it's a reminder to me to go spend 15 minutes at the most scrolling my LinkedIn feed, liking and commenting on people's posts. You know, those LinkedIn contributions that we're all made to feel like we should do? I like every single one of them that I see somebody in my network posting because it doesn't cost me a penny and it helps them get boosted, I assume, in the algorithm. So the more you can thoughtfully show up for your people, subscribe to their newsletters, reply to their newsletters. I'm telling you, when people reply to my newsletter, I feel like, oh God, thank goodness, at least one person cared. Even if they didn't read it, they still opened it. And that makes me feel like what I'm doing is not for nothing. So there are so many ways you can water and nurture your network on a regular basis without it having to take a lot of your time, energy, and effort. And if you can just build in that frequency of interaction in the one-on-one capacity, that is what will take your relationship so much deeper, so much faster.
And if you have like, I don't know, a huge network of people, like hundreds of people, it's still, even though it's like a small interaction, it's still too much time. So how to keep up with these connections?
Yeah, you just pick the people that you're most excited about investing in. You don't
Yeah.
have to invest time into every single person you meet. And if you've done a good job setting your criteria of the kind of people you want to welcome into your network, you won't have a ginormous pool of people, but you will have a small, curated, really beneficial and intentional and impactful community of people. And look, we're all busy. So I have a new friend, Tracy, who I met on LinkedIn sometime earlier this year. Tracy and I both have kids. We're both running businesses and we're both really busy. But after our first virtual coffee chat, she immediately booked the next one because she had my Calendly link. We hung up and she booked the next one for like a month and a half later. And every time we talk, that's what she does. So we have not a standing meeting, but a recurring meeting because it just happens that way. And it's not every week, it's not every day, it's not even really every month, but it's consistent enough that it feels like no time has passed when we chat again. And with every single call, we're getting to know each other more and more and more, and we're understanding how we can support each other. And now we're going to collaborate on a workshop series sometime in the coming months. And like that would have never come out of one conversation, right?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally. You build up on, and then you understand, oh, maybe we can finally do this together. So coming to
Yeah.
the third step of leveraging relationships, like
Yes.
what are the ways of leveraging relationships?
I think I used to think it was really important to harp on the fact that you need to make relationship deposits before you could withdraw. So give before you ask. Now I'm starting to realize people are actually much more naturally inclined to give before asking, especially women. Women have a tendency to over deliver for their relationships long before they ask, if they ever ask for help or support. So I've started to shift and realize that of the grow, nurture, leverage cycle, most people are generally quite good at least one of those things, and then okay at one of them, and then bad at one of them.
Mm,
I am not great at the leverage part traditionally. And it comes from being an independent person and from being very ambitious and driven when I was younger and feeling like I had to do everything by myself for it to count as a win. I do not feel that way anymore, but belief systems are hard to kind of rewire over, the course of a lifetime. So within the last 5 years or so, that's been a big one that I've been working on, is helping myself feel safe, asking for and accepting support from the people in my community. So if you're feeling that way too, like, I don't know how to ask for help, or I'll just do it myself. It'll just be easier to do it myself. Here's what I will say. People tend to want to help you. Believe it or not, people like to feel helpful and useful. And that's why I identified those 3 I's that I mentioned before: info, inspo, and intros, because everybody that you talk to will almost always offer up at least one from those 3 categories. Information is like the, oh, have you read this book? Have you listened to this podcast? You should go to this event. Inspiration is, oh, I love that idea. What if you did this? And intros are introductions to other people. Oh, you definitely need to meet this person. Most people will offer you up at least one of those. So I'd say experiment, like start to work out your bravery muscle around asking for support and accepting that support, because I promise you, life really is so much better and your business will be so much more successful if you welcome in the support of other people. So how this could look is posting to LinkedIn. I posted early on this year that I wanted to be on 15 podcasts in 2024, and immediately booked like 5. And then throughout the last few months, I've booked more and more. And then just the other day, I said, I am 1 podcast away from hitting my goal, and I'm 2 podcasts away from hitting 50. And what happened? Yuri shows up in my comments and is like, I got you right here. You're going to be on 2 of my podcasts. Boom, goal achieved. And I got 2 or 3 other people saying, oh, come on my podcast. So people can't help you if you don't tell them what you need and what you're looking for, right? Get people on your team, which is what you're doing with leveraging. You're helping people help you. And that is a beautiful thing to feel supported. There are a few things in life, I think, that make you feel more loved than when people just show up for you and are like, oh, I got you. I'll introduce you to this person right now, right? It feels so good. And when we go really far out and we think about connection and why it matters to us, not just on a business level or even on a personal level, but on a deeply psychological level, it hits on that Maslow's hierarchy of needs of belonging and of safety and of security. It's deep. It's low on the pyramid. It's really deep down. It's feeling like you're not going to be eaten by a saber-toothed tiger out, on your own. Like, you have a tribe of people, you have a support system. And yes, will it help you grow your business and get aligned clients and attract cool opportunities? 100%. Will it also make you feel something deep, deep, deep down in your core that helps you feel safe? Yeah, that too. And I mean, that's pretty damn magical. What else can you say can achieve both of those kinds of goals really across all levels besides connection? This is why I'm so deeply, deeply passionate about it, because I think it is truly one of the things that can change the world if people just better understood how to do it. And it's not hard, you guys. It just takes a little bit of intention.
When I'm thinking about asking someone for help, I have 2 thoughts in my mind. First is like, I don't want to bother people. Second, I don't want them to feel like I'm using them. So how do you ensure people do not feel used by it? And it's kind of like 2 questions, but it's kind of one. So what is the difference between ask and use?
Well, I would say if you're feeling like you might be using somebody, pause and think, have I done anything for this person? Have I shown up in their life prior to this moment in a positive way? And if the answer is no, they're not the person to ask. But I guarantee you have people in your life who you have given to and who you have shown up for. And if you're doing the things that I mentioned in the nurturing phase of recurring meetings with people, of commenting and liking and sending people their way, offering up one of the 3 I's to them, info, inspo, and intros, then they will not feel used. They will feel called in. And that's the difference. When you're asking for help, you're calling somebody in. You're saying, You're off the bench. You're in the game. Let's go. And look, it's not always a one-to-one. It's not always going to be, well, Yuri helped me, so now I'm going to help him. It's not always like that. It's almost never like that. So I think it's important to think of your community as more of an organic, like big ball of human beings. And you're going to get tagged in for somebody over here, and you're going to tag in for somebody else over there. And you're going to do kind of this, across the spectrum support system kind of thing, right? That's why it's like a web of human beings. It's not always going to be, I owe this person something, so now I got to do something for them. It's more, I call it community karma. You're really building up your community karma by being a good, intentionally engaging, kind, compassionate person to the people around you. Because even if you haven't done specifically something for somebody, you're not going to feel used if they
Mm.
ask for support from you. And there's a way of asking for support that isn't so direct to that person. You can put it out there. And let's say you do want to ask, let's say you know somebody that I want to know. If you and I have never connected prior to that, I would probably think like, well, maybe I need to get to know Yuri a little bit better, and he needs to know me a little bit better before he's going to feel comfortable introducing me to somebody. So maybe I'm going to start with asking him to get on a virtual coffee chat. Let's get to know each other first. Let me make sure I'm supporting him in other areas of his life and business. And then when I feel like we have a mutually beneficial relationship, then I'll make a bigger ask. But you can make smaller asks, that aren't going to put people out, and it'll give them the chance to jump in and say, oh, I can help you with that, versus you saying, hi, can you do this for me? There's a big difference there.
It's a huge difference, and now I totally get it. And yeah, I feel like, after listening to you, I will try asking more.
Yeah. I mean, even for great guests for your podcast, right? Like, that's a fun one to put out to your network because everybody has somebody they want to recommend, even if it's themselves. So it really gets people talking, and it also brings engagement to your virtual space, right? When you ask for help, I guarantee you those posts perform better because people love to chime in. They love to offer advice, they love to offer support. So just try it out as an experiment and see what happens.
Bailey, I wish to have the sky as the limit, but time is the limit. So the final question, what is your favorite food?
That's an impossible question, Yuri. I can't give you a straight answer, but I will say the first thing coming to mind, I could eat sushi at any meal, always and forever. There is no limit to my sushi consumption. So I will say sushi, and I will get more specific and say a perfect cut of salmon sashimi.
What is the best way to connect with you?
Go to my website. I finally have a website that is an accurate representation of everything I do. So if you go to overlapcollective.com, that will redirect you to my website, which is secretly bailyhancock.com. And you can find all of my resources there. I have a tab called resources, and it's got my freebies and my paid resources. And there's a little bit of something for everybody under the community connection and collaboration umbrella.
Thank you so much, Bailey, for sharing your experience. And it's been such a pleasure to hear and learn from you.
Always a pleasure, Yuri. Thank you.
And thank you so much for listening. If you like the show, hit the like button and 5 stars and share it with your friend. That's it. We're done. See you in the next episode.